I need you to do me a favor. Zuri whispered into the stranger's ear. Before he could respond, she kissed him. Deep, desperate, real. She meant it to be fake, just a quick peck to scare off a bad blind date. But the moment Zuri's lips touched his, everything changed. His hand came up to the back of her neck and he kissed her back like he was claiming her. When they broke apart, his dark eyes studied her with an intensity that made her shiver. "Who are you?" he asked with intense dark eyes that made Zuri's knee wobble. "I'm nobody," Zuri whispered. "Forget this ever happened." And then she stormed out of the restaurant, ignoring the stares from the small crowd. What she didn't know? The stranger she just kissed in front of a crowded restaurant was Kang Min-jun, billionaire, mafia boss, and the most dangerous man in Korea. One impulsive kiss, one deadly mistake, one action that would definitely destroy them both. Now, before we get into this roller coaster, this is a special shout out to Pamela Harris. Thank you for being absolutely amazing and for supporting this channel. Beauties, if you're ready for a dark romance that will have you screaming at your screen, subscribe to this channel immediately and comment kisses so we can give you a special shout out on our next video. Because baby, we're just getting started. Now let me tell you how it all began with one kiss that changed everything. The upscale restaurant in Gangnam was too fancy for Zuri's comfort. Crystal chandeliers, pretentious wine list, and her best friend Maya sitting across from her with that scheming smile. "I can't believe you set me up on a blind date," Zuri hissed, checking her phone. "With your boss's cousin? Maya, you know I don't do setups." "Girl, you also don't do dating. When's the last time you went out?" Maya sipped her wine. "Besides, Junho is sweet, successful, and he specifically asked about you after seeing you at the company dinner." "That's even creepier." "That's romantic. He's going to be here in—" Maya checked her watch. 5 minutes. Please just give him a chance," Zuri groaned. She'd rather be home in her tiny apartment, eating ramyun and watching crime documentaries. But before she could protest further, Maya's eyes widened. "Oh God, he's here. And he brought flowers. Okay, that's actually cute." Zuri turned to see a man in an ill-fitting suit approaching, holding a bouquet of roses so large it blocked his face. What she could see made her stomach drop. High-waisted pants, a eager puppy dog energy that screamed desperate. Panic set in. She had to get out of this. Her eyes darted around the restaurant and landed on a man sitting alone at the bar. Dark suit, sharp jawline, an aura of danger and sophistication. He was nursing a whiskey, looking completely uninterested in everything around him. Perfect. "I'm so sorry," Zuri whispered to Maya before standing abruptly. "Zuri, what are you—" But Zuri was already moving. She crossed the restaurant with purpose, her heart pounding. The stranger at the bar didn't even look up as she approached. Up close, he was even more intimidating and gorgeous. Sharp features, dark eyes that looked like they held secrets, an expensive watch that probably cost more than her yearly salary. No time for second thoughts. "I need you to do me a favor," she said. The man's eyes lifted slowly, meeting hers. Cold, analytical. The kind of eyes that could see right through you. "I don't do favors," he replied in Korean, his voice deep and smooth like aged whiskey, especially for strangers. "Perfect, because this will only take a second." Before he could respond, before she could talk herself out of it, Zuri cupped his face and kissed him. She meant for it to be quick, a peck to make her blind date think she was taken. But the moment her lips touched his, something shifted. He stiffened for a fraction of a second, then his hand came up to the back of her neck and he kissed her back. Not gently. His lips were firm, commanding, tasting of expensive whiskey and something dark she couldn't name. The kiss deepened, and Zuri forgot why she'd done this in the first place. Forgot about the blind date, the restaurant, everything but the way this stranger kissed her like he was claiming her. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, his dark eyes studied her with an intensity that made her shiver. "Who are you?" His voice was low, dangerous. "Someone who just needed an escape route," Zuri managed, her heart racing. "Thank you for Mr. Kang." They both turned to see a man in a black suit approaching, looking panicked. He bowed deeply, speaking rapidly in Korean. "Sir, I apologize for the interruption, but we have a situation at the—" "Not now, Tae-young," the stranger, Mr. Kang, said quietly. But there was steel in his voice. The suited man paled and backed away immediately. Zuri's instincts kicked in. The expensive suit, the bodyguard, the way everyone in the restaurant suddenly seemed to be avoiding looking in their direction. "You're someone important," she said slowly. "You could say that." His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "And you just kissed me in a public place. Do you make a habit of kissing dangerous men, Ms.? That's my cue to leave." Zuri stepped back, but his hand caught her wrist. Not rough, but firm. "I didn't get your name. And you won't." She pulled free and walked away on shaky legs, acutely aware of his eyes on her back. When she returned to her table, Maya was staring at her in shock. The blind date was nowhere to be seen. "Did you just kiss a random man to scare off Junho? Did it work? He literally ran out of here." Maya leaned forward. "But Zuri, do you have any idea who that was?" "Some rich guy?" "That's Kang Min-jun." Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. "He owns half of Gangnam. Hotels, nightclubs, restaurants. And there are rumors, Zuri, really dark rumors about his family's business." Zuri's blood ran cold. She glanced back at the bar, but he was gone. "What kind of rumors?" "The kind we don't talk about in public." Maya grabbed her purse. "We should go now." But as they left the restaurant, Zuri couldn't shake the feeling of his lips on hers, or the way he'd looked at her, like she was a puzzle he intended to solve. Zuri thought that would be the end of it. A crazy story to laugh about later. But fate, or something darker, had other plans. 2 days later, she was at the gallery preparing for their biggest exhibition of the year. A showcase of Korean contemporary art that had taken months to organize. Her boss, Director Park, was even more anxious than usual. "Everything must be perfect," he kept saying. "Our primary investor is coming personally to preview the collection." "It is perfect," Zuri assured him, adjusting the lighting on a sculpture. "We've triple-checked everything." She was in the back room, updating the catalog, when she heard the commotion. Director Park's voice, overly cheerful and obsequious, the kind of tone he only used for very important people. Curious, Zuri walked out into the main gallery and froze. There, standing in a perfectly tailored black suit, examining one of the paintings with those same intense dark eyes, was him. Kang Min-jun, the man she'd kissed. Their eyes met across the room. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his gaze. Recognition, interest, something predatory. "Ah, Ms. Williams," Director Park called out, gesturing her over. "Please come meet our most esteemed investor, Mr. Kang Min-jun." "Mr. Kang, this is Zuri Williams, our head curator." She's responsible for this entire exhibition. Zuri's mind raced. She could pretend they'd never met, play it professional. But as she approached and bowed slightly in greeting, Min-jun extended his hand. "Ms. Williams," he said smoothly. "What a unexpected pleasure." His hand was warm, his grip firm, and he held on just a second too long. "Mr. Kang," she replied, keeping her voice steady. "Welcome to the gallery. I've been looking forward to this." His eyes never left hers. "Director Park speaks very highly of your work. He says you have impeccable taste." Was that amusement in his voice? "I do my best to make, informed choices," Zuri said carefully. "Even impulsive ones?" Director Park looked confused. "I'm sorry?" "I was just wondering," Min-jun continued, finally releasing her hand, "if Ms. Williams makes impulsive decisions in her curatorial work or if she's more calculated." "Oh, Zuri is extremely thoughtful," Director Park assured him. "Every piece is carefully selected." "I see." Min-jun's gaze was still locked on her. "Perhaps Ms. Williams could give me a private tour. I'd like to understand her process." It wasn't a request. Director Park practically shoved her forward. "Of course. Zuri, please show Mr. Kang anything he wishes to see." Anything he wishes to see. If only Director Park knew what he was suggesting. As her boss scurried away, Zuri found herself alone with Min-jun in the gallery's main hall, surrounded by art and tension. "So," she said quietly, "you're my boss's boss's boss." Something like that. He moved to examine a painting, a dark, turbulent piece about Han, Korean sorrow. "Did you know who I was that night?" "No." "Would it have changed anything if you did?" Zuri considered lying, then decided against it. Something told her he'd see right through it. "Probably. I would have chosen someone less complicated." "Complicated?" He almost smiled. "That's diplomatic." "I heard rumors," she admitted, after. "And yet you're still here alone with me." He turned to face her fully. "Either you're very brave or very foolish, Ms. Williams." "Maybe both." She crossed her arms. "Are the rumors true?" "Which ones?" "That you're dangerous." This time he did smile. It was a beautiful, terrible thing. "Extremely." Her heart should be racing in fear. Instead, it was racing for an entirely different reason. "The exhibition looks excellent," he said, changing the subject as he strolled through the gallery. "You have a good eye. This piece," he gestured to a sculpture of intertwined figures. "It's about duality, isn't it? Light and dark, the parts of ourselves we show versus the parts we hide. You know art? I know people. Art is just honest people frozen in time." He studied the sculpture. "Everyone has a dark side, Ms. Williams. Some of us just stop pretending we don't." "Is that supposed to be profound or threatening? Can't it be both?" He moved closer. "Why did you kiss me that night?" "I told you, escape route. From a blind date." His eyes searched hers. "What are you running from, Zuri?" The use of her first name sent a shiver down her spine. "What makes you think I'm running?" "Beautiful woman alone in a foreign country kissing strangers to avoid connection?" He tilted his head. "You're either running from something or hiding from it. That's rich, coming from a man who sits alone at bars looking like he wants the world to disappear." "Touché." He was close now, too close. She could smell his cologne, something expensive and woodsy. "I make you nervous." "You make everyone nervous. I saw how the staff reacted." But you're still here, still standing your ground. There was approval in his voice. I like that. Most people can't look me in the eye. Should I be scared of you, Mr. Kang? Yes, he said simply. But something tells me fear isn't what you're feeling right now. He was right. What she felt was far more dangerous than fear. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it and his expression hardened. I have to go. He pulled out a business card and held it out. Dinner, tomorrow night. I don't think... It wasn't a question, Ms. Williams. You started something when you kissed me. Now we're going to finish it. And if I say no, you won't. His confidence should have been infuriating. Instead, it was intoxicating. Because you're as curious about this as I am. He left before she could argue, trailed by men in dark suits she hadn't even noticed arrive. Zuri stood in the empty gallery, his business card burning in her hand, and wondered what the hell she'd gotten herself into. Zuri changed outfits 4 times before settling on a black silk dress, elegant but not trying too hard. She told herself this was just dinner, a curiosity, nothing more. The address on Minjun's card led her to a private restaurant in Itaewon she'd never heard of. No sign outside, just a red door with a discreet intercom. When she pressed it, the door opened immediately. A hostess bowed deeply. Ms. Williams, Mr. Kang is expecting you. The restaurant was empty except for one table by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Minjun sat there, perfectly still, a glass of wine in his hand. He stood as she approached. You came, he said. You sounded pretty confident I would. I was hoping. He pulled out her chair. But not certain. You strike me as someone who doesn't do what she's told. Smart man. As she sat, she noticed the details. The entire restaurant was empty. Did you rent out the whole place? I own it. He returned to his seat. I own several restaurants in Seoul. This one is special, very private. No phones, no cameras, no interruptions. Should I be worried? That depends on what worries you. He poured her wine. The fact that we're alone, or the fact that you want to be. Zuri's pulse quickened. You're very direct. I've found that life is too short for games. His dark eyes held hers. 3 years ago, my closest friend was killed in front of me. One moment we were having dinner, the next... He snapped his fingers. Gone. It taught me that when you want something, you take it. No hesitation. And what do you want, Mr. Kang? Right now? To know everything about you. He leaned back. Zuri Williams, 27 years old. Art history degree from NYU. Worked at the MoMA for 2 years before suddenly moving to Seoul 3 years ago. You live alone in Hongdae. You visit the same coffee shop every morning, and you send money to someone in the US every month. Her blood ran cold. You had me investigated? The moment you walked away from me? No apology in his voice. I don't let unknowns into my life, Zuri. Especially ones who kiss me and disappear. She should leave. This was insane. But instead, she met his gaze steadily. If you know everything, then you know why I left New York. Something flickered in his expression. The file said personal reasons. I wanted to hear it from you. Zuri took a long sip of wine. If he wanted the truth, fine. I was engaged. His name was Marcus. Successful lawyer, charming, everything looked perfect from the outside. Her jaw tightened. Until I came home early one day and found him in our bed with my co-worker. When I confronted him, he said I should be grateful someone like him wanted to marry someone like me. Minjun's expression darkened dangerously. Someone like you? A black woman from Brooklyn who grew up on food stamps. The old wound still stung. He made me feel like I should be thankful for his scraps. So I left everything. The job, the friends who took his side, the life I'd built. I wanted to start over somewhere I could just be invisible. You could never be invisible. His voice was rough. And that man was a fool. Probably, but he was right about one thing. I was so desperate to fit into his world that I lost myself. I swore I'd never do that again. Never make myself smaller for someone else's comfort. Good. Minjun raised his glass. I have no interest in small, comfortable things. They ordered food, traditional Korean dishes that kept coming, each more exquisite than the last. As they ate, the conversation flowed easier than it should have. He asked about her work, seeming genuinely interested in her perspectives on art. She asked about his businesses, carefully dancing around the obvious questions. You're wondering if the rumors are true? He said finally, setting down his chopsticks. Are they? Some of them. He wiped his hands deliberately. My family has been in certain businesses for 3 generations. My grandfather started with protection services in post-war Seoul. My father expanded into other ventures. When he was murdered 12 years ago, I took over. How old were you? 20. His voice was emotionless, but his hand tightened on his glass. I watched him die, bullet to the head in our family home. The killer wanted me to see it, wanted me to know what happens to the weak. You were 20, Zuri said softly. That's not weak. That's tragic. In my world, they're the same thing. He looked out at the Seoul skyline. I spent the next 5 years finding everyone involved. There were 17 men. I killed 14 myself. The other 3, let's just say they wished I'd killed them. He said it so calmly, like discussing the weather. Zuri should be horrified. She was horrified. But she was also seeing the full picture now, the cold exterior, the constant control, the loneliness in his eyes. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know what I am before this goes any further. He turned back to her. I'm not a good man, Zuri. I hurt people. I've done things that would make you sick. I operate outside the law and I don't feel guilty about it. If you're smart, you'll finish this meal and never see me again. And if I'm not smart, then we'll both discover just how dangerous this attraction is. The air between them crackled with tension. Every rational part of Zuri's brain screamed to run. But the irrational part, the part that had kissed a stranger in a restaurant, that had fled to Korea to start over, that was tired of playing it safe, wanted to stay. One more date, she heard herself say. But I have conditions. Interest sparked in his eyes. I'm listening. You don't investigate me anymore. You want to know something, you ask me directly. Agreed. You don't send me expensive gifts or try to buy me. Done. And you're honest with me. Always. I can handle the truth, I can't handle lies. He studied her for a long moment. I can promise you honesty. But Zuri, the truth about my life isn't always safe to know. Then I'll decide what risks I'm willing to take. She stood. Thank you for dinner, Minjun. He stood as well, moving around the table until he was close enough that she could feel his heat. Can I take you home? No. But you can walk me to my cab. Outside the restaurant, Seoul was alive with lights and sound. Minjun's hand rested on the small of her back as they walked to the curb. and even that small touch sent electricity through her. As the taxi pulled up, he caught her hand. "Zuri." She turned, and he kissed her. Softer than the first time, but no less intense. His hand cupped her face like she was something precious, and when they broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. "I don't do this," he whispered. "I don't date. I don't feel, but you've gotten under my skin." "Good," she breathed. "Because you're terrifying, and this is insane, and I can't stop thinking about you either." He smiled, a real smile this time. It transformed his face, made him look younger, almost vulnerable. "Saturday," he said. "Let me show you something." "What?" "Trust me." As the taxi pulled away, Zuri watched him, standing under the streetlight, hands in his pockets, watching her leave. She was playing with fire, but God, she'd always loved the heat. Saturday came with a text. "Wear something you can move in, and trust me." Minjun picked her up in a sleek black car, no driver this time. Just him. He wore jeans and a leather jacket, looking less like a crime lord and more like a dangerously handsome rebel. "Where are we going?" Zuri asked as they drove through Seoul. "You said you wanted honesty." He glanced at her. "So I'm showing you my world. The real one." They drove to Gangbuk, a grittier part of Seoul. He pulled into an underground parking garage beneath what looked like an abandoned building. But when they took the elevator up, it opened into a completely renovated space, a training facility. Men and women were sparring, lifting weights, practicing with weapons. They all stopped and bowed when Minjun entered. "This is where I train my people," he explained. "Everyone in my organization goes through here. We don't hire thugs. We hire skilled professionals." Zuri watched a woman execute a perfect combination on a heavy bag. "You're showing me this because if you're going to be in my life, you need to understand it, and you need to be able to protect yourself." He led her to a private room. "I have enemies, Zuri, rival organizations, people I've wronged, law enforcement. Anyone close to me becomes a target. So this is you scaring me away? This is me preparing you. If you want out, I'll take you home right now and you'll never see me again, but if you stay..." He pulled out 2 pairs of boxing gloves. "You learn to survive in my world." Zuri stared at the gloves, then at him. She thought of Marcus, of how helpless she'd felt, how small. Minjun was offering her power. She took the gloves. "Teach me." For the next 2 hours, Minjun taught her basic self-defense. His touch was professional but intimate, adjusting her stance, guiding her movements, his body close to hers. When she finally landed a solid hit on the pad, he grinned with genuine pride. "You're a natural. I'm sweaty and exhausted. You're beautiful." They were standing too close again. His hand came up to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, and Zuri forgot how to breathe. "Minjun." The door burst open. A man rushed in, speaking rapid Korean. Minjun's entire demeanor changed, from warm to ice-cold in an instant. "Wait here," he told Zuri, already moving. "What's wrong?" "Business." He paused at the door. "Tae Young will take you home." "I'm not a child to be dismissed." "Zuri." His voice was sharp. "This is the part of my world you can't be part of. Not yet. Please, trust me." Before she could argue, he was gone. Tae Young, the man from the restaurant, appeared, polite but firm. "Ms. Williams, this way, please." Frustrated and worried, Zuri let him escort her out, but as they passed a hallway, she heard raised voices. Minjun's. Voice cold and commanding, then a sound that made her blood freeze. A gunshot. She stopped walking. Tae-young gently tried to guide her forward. "Ms. Williams, what's happening?" "Business, please, Mr. Kang would want you safe." In the car ride home, Zuri's mind raced. She'd known intellectually what Min-jun was, but hearing that gunshot made it viscerally real. He didn't just run a criminal organization, he killed people. That night, she couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m. her phone rang. "I'm sorry." Min-jun's voice was tired. "For how today ended. Are you okay?" "I'm fine. We had a problem. It's handled." "Handled meaning?" Silence, then, "Meaning you're safe. That's all that matters to me." "Min-jun, what happened?" "One of my suppliers was skimming profits and got sloppy. His carelessness put my people at risk." A pause. "He won't be a problem anymore." The words hung in the air. Zuri gripped the phone. "Did you kill him? Do you really want to know?" She thought about it. Did she? Could she be with someone who killed people, even if they were criminals themselves? "No," she whispered. "Not yet. I need to know you're okay." "I'm better now. Hearing your voice." She could hear him moving, maybe pouring a drink. "Are you having second thoughts?" "Yes. Honest. I appreciate that." A bitter laugh. "Most people lie to me, tell me what I want to hear." "I'm terrified of you," Zuri admitted, "of what you do, of how you make me feel. This is crazy. We're crazy." "We are." A pause. "But I can't let you go. I should for your safety, but I won't. Does that make me selfish?" "Completely. Can you live with that?" Zuri looked out at Seoul's lights. Thought about her safe, predictable life. Thought about Min-jun's smile, his hands on her waist. The way he looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. "I don't know yet," she said honestly. "But I'm not ready to walk away either." "Then don't. I'll go as slow as you need." "In what world is this slow? We met a week ago." "In my world, a week is a lifetime. I've made decisions in seconds that changed everything." His voice softened. "You changed everything, Zuri, from the moment you kissed me." After they hung up, Zuri sat in the dark, wondering if she was brave or just foolish. Maybe both. For 3 weeks, Zuri and Min-jun existed in a strange bubble. He took her to private dinners, rooftop gardens at midnight, secret spots in Seoul only locals knew. He was teaching her Korean, she was teaching him about art. They talked about everything except his business. She was falling for him, hard. But she should have known peace never lasts. It started with a phone call from her brother, Marcus Jr., named after their father, not her ex. "Z, I need to tell you something." He sounded nervous. "Marcus showed up at my dorm." Zuri's blood ran cold. "Marcus, my ex?" "Yeah, he was asking about you. Where you are, if we're in contact." I didn't tell him anything, but sis, he seemed obsessed. He said you stole from him when you left. I took what was mine, my clothes, my books. He's claiming you took some expensive jewelry he bought you. Says it's worth 50,000 and he's getting lawyers involved." Zuri wanted to scream. The jewelry had been gifts. A necklace, earrings, a bracelet he'd given her for her birthday. She'd left most of it, only taking the pieces that had belonged to her grandmother. "He's lying. He's just trying to control you. I know." Her brother sighed. "But Z, he found out you're in Seoul. And he said something weird. He said, tell Zuri to be careful about the company she keeps abroad. Some business associates of mine are very interested in her new connections." The world tilted. What does that mean? I don't know, but it felt like a threat. Are you okay? Is there something going on? Zuri thought of Minjun, of the very visible times they'd been out together. Seoul's high society was small. If someone was watching, they'd know exactly who she was dating. I'm fine, don't worry about me. That's my job. You've been taking care of me forever, let me help. You help by staying in school and staying safe, I'll handle Marcus. But after hanging up, Zuri felt anything but confident. She called Minjun. He arrived at her apartment within 20 minutes, bringing Tae-young and another guard. His face was dark with anger as she explained. Your ex knows about me? He paced her small living room like a caged tiger. What exactly did your brother say? She repeated Marcus's message. Minjun pulled out his phone, made a call in rapid Korean, then turned to her. I'm having Marcus investigated. If he's connected to any organizations, I'll know by tomorrow. You think he's involved with people like you? I think he's either very stupid or very dangerous. And I don't take chances with your safety. He cupped her face. Pack a bag. You're staying with me until we know what we're dealing with. I'm not running from my ex again. This isn't running. This is strategy. His eyes were intense. Zuri, if he knows about me and he's making threats, that means one of two things. Either he has connections to rival organizations who could use you against me, or he's bluffing to scare you. Either way, I need you where I can protect you. I can protect myself. You've been training me for 3 weeks against men who've been killers for years. He actually looked afraid. Please don't fight me on this. You want independence, I respect that. But this isn't about control. This is about keeping you alive. Zuri wanted to argue, but the fear in his eyes, real, raw fear, stopped her. Okay. A few days until we know what's happening. Relief flooded his face. He kissed her forehead. Thank you. Minjun's penthouse was in Gangnam, overlooking the Han River. Sleek, modern, surprisingly full of books and art. He showed her to a guest room. You don't have to, she started. I want you in my bed, Zuri. God knows I want that. His voice was rough. But not like this. Not when you're scared and I'm angry. When we take that step, it'll be because we both choose it freely, not because of circumstances. That night, Zuri lay in the guest room staring at the ceiling. Around 3 a.m., she heard sounds from Minjun's room. Harsh breathing, a shout. She found him tangled in sheets, clearly in the grip of a nightmare. Sweat beaded his forehead, and he was speaking Korean too fast for her to understand. Minjun. She touched his shoulder gently. Wake up. He woke with a gasp, instinctively grabbing her wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but defensive. When he registered who she was, he released her immediately. Zuri, I'm sorry, I didn't. You were having a nightmare. He sat up, running his hands through his hair. In the dim light, he looked younger, vulnerable. I get them. Since my father's death. Usually I can control them, but when I'm stressed, you see it again, he nodded. Every detail, the smell of blood, the sound of the shot, his last words. He looked at her. He told me to run, I didn't. I just stood there, frozen, useless. You were 20 and watching your father die. You weren't useless, you were traumatized. In my world, trauma is weakness. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Zuri sat on the edge of his bed. You're human, Minjun. You're allowed to be hurt. He looked at her like she'd said something revolutionary. Then slowly he reached for her hand. Stay. Please. I sleep better when you're near. Zuri should say no, should maintain boundaries. Instead, she slipped under the covers and Minjun pulled her close, his arm around her waist, his face buried in her hair. You smell like jasmine, he murmured. You smell like expensive cologne and danger. She felt his chest rumble with quiet laughter. Is that appealing? More than it should be. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, two broken people finding unexpected peace. The next morning, Minjun's investigation bore fruit, and it was worse than expected. Marcus Sullivan, Tae-young reported, laying out documents on Minjun's dining table. Works for Sullivan and Associates, a law firm in New York. But that's a front. They're legal counsel for the Volkov Bratva. Zuri's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. The Russian mob? One of the largest organizations on the East Coast. Minjun's face was granite. They've been trying to expand into Asia for years. I've blocked their every attempt. The pieces clicked into place. That's why Marcus was interested in me. Not because he loved me, but because you were a curator with international connections. He was probably planning to use you to establish legitimate business fronts in Asia. Minjun's voice was ice. And now that you're with me, you're valuable leverage. Or a target. Zuri set down her cup. He's going to come after me. He's going to try. The threat in Minjun's voice was unmistakable. And he's going to fail. You can't start a war with the Russian mob over me. I can and I will. He turned to her, eyes blazing. Do you understand what you've become to me? You're not just someone I'm dating, Zuri. You're the first person in 12 years who's made me feel human. Who looks at me and sees a man, not a monster. You think I'm going to let anyone take that away? Tae-young cleared his throat uncomfortably. Sir, there's more. Marcus Sullivan landed in Seoul yesterday. He's staying at the Shilla Hotel. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. He's here. Zuri stood. Why would he? To negotiate or threaten. Minjun was already moving, pulling out his phone. Either way, he made a mistake coming to my city. What are you going to do? He looked at her, and for a moment she saw the ruthless crime lord everyone feared. I'm going to send a message. Stay here. Don't leave this apartment for any reason. Minjun. Please. He kissed her, hard and possessive. Trust me, I'll handle this. After he left with his guards, Zuri paced the apartment, anxiety eating at her. She'd brought this danger to Minjun's door. Her past was threatening his present. Hours passed. She tried to distract herself with TV, books. Nothing worked. Then her phone rang, a number she recognized. Marcus. Her hand shook as she answered. How did you get this number? Hello to you too, Z. His familiar smarmy voice made her skin crawl. We need to talk. We have nothing to discuss. I think we do. You've been a naughty girl getting involved with Kang Minjun. Do you have any idea who he is, what he does? I know exactly who he is. Then you know you're in over your head. His voice turned condescending, the tone he'd used when he wanted to make her feel small. Come on, babe. This isn't you. Dating a gangster? You're better than this. Come back to New York, I'll forgive everything. Forgive me? Zuri laughed bitterly. I caught you cheating, Marcus. There's nothing to forgive except your delusions. Is that what you think this is about? Hurt feelings? His voice hardened. You embarrassed me, Zuri. You walked away from our engagement. Told all our friends I was unfaithful, made me look like a fool. And then you ran to Korea and stumbled into the one relationship that could actually be useful to me. So it's true, you work for the Russian mob. I work for successful businessmen who understand the value of strategic partnerships, something your boyfriend is too arrogant to appreciate. A pause. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to gather information on Kang's operations, shipping routes, financial accounts, political connections. Feed it to me, and when this is over, you walk away clean, maybe even with a nice payday. You want me to betray him. I want you to be smart. Kang is going to get himself killed eventually. Men like him always do. When that happens, do you want to be collateral damage? Or do you want to be far away, safe and rich? Zuri's mind raced. Marcus thought she was the same scared woman who'd fled New York. He had no idea who she'd become. Let me think about it, she said carefully. Smart girl. I'll call you tomorrow. Oh, and Zuri, don't tell Kang about this conversation. My associates are watching. If you tip him off, your baby brother at NYU might have an unfortunate accident. You understand? The line went dead. Zuri stood frozen, terror and rage warring inside her. They'd threatened her brother. They actually thought they could threaten her family and she'd just comply. They'd made a mistake. When Minjun returned that evening, looking tired but satisfied, Zuri was waiting. It's done, he said. I met with Marcus at his hotel. Made it very clear that you're under my protection and any move against you is a move against me. He's flying back to New York tomorrow. He called me. Zuri's voice was steady. After you left. He wants me to spy on you. And he threatened my brother. Minjun went very, very still. Tell me everything. She did. Every word, every threat, every detail. As she spoke, she watched Minjun's expression shift from calm to coldly furious. He threatened your family. Minjun's voice was deadly quiet. He thinks he can use you against me. He's wrong. Zuri moved closer. I'm not a pawn in this game, Minjun. I'm a player, and I want to help you take him down. Absolutely not. I'll handle... He threatened my brother. This is my fight now. She grabbed his jacket. You want to protect me? Then trust me enough to stand beside you, not behind you. Minjun stared at her, emotions warring on his face. If something happened to you because of me, then it happens. But I'm not running and I'm not hiding. She rose on her toes, kissing him fiercely. Use me. Let me feed him false information. Let me be the spy he thinks I am. We'll destroy him from the inside. A slow, dangerous smile spread across Minjun's face. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed her then, deep and claiming, and when they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. Then we do this together, but you follow my lead. You trust my judgment, and if I say run, you run. Deal? Deal. Good. He pulled out his phone. Tae Young, get everyone together. We're going to war. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Zuri would pretend to agree to Marcus's demands, feeding him carefully crafted misinformation while gathering evidence of the Volkov Bratva's operations in Asia. Minjun would use that information to dismantle their networks while protecting Zuri's brother with his own people. It was dangerous. It was probably insane. Zuri had never felt more alive. Remember, Minjun coached her before her next call with Marcus. Give him just enough to seem valuable, but nothing that can actually hurt us. Be scared. Be reluctant. Make him think he's manipulating you. I lived with him for 2 years. I know how to play his ego. The call went perfectly. Zuri fed Marcus information about a shipment that was actually a decoy Minjun had set up. She played the terrified girlfriend, begging Marcus not to hurt her brother, promising to cooperate. Marcus ate it up. "See? I knew you'd see reason," he said smugly. "Keep this up and we'll all come out ahead." Over the next 2 weeks, Zuri became the perfect double agent. She'd meet with Marcus's contact in Seoul, a cold-eyed Russian named Dmitri, and carefully surveilled locations while Minjun's people watched from the shadows. She'd pass along fabricated documents that Minjun's tech team had created, each one designed to lead the Volkov Bratva into a trap. But the danger was real. One slip, one inconsistency, and they'd know she was playing them. The stress showed. Zuri lost weight, had trouble sleeping. Only in Minjun's arms did she find peace. They'd grown closer through the conspiracy, and one night, after a particularly tense meeting with Dmitri, everything came to a head. Minjun was waiting in the car when Tae-young brought her from the meeting site. One look at his face told her something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked as they drove. "Dimitri's suspicious. My people lip-read part of the conversation. He questioned why you're giving up information so easily." Minjun's jaw was tight. "We might need to pull you out." "No, we're too close. Your safety is more important than this operation." "My brother's safety is more important," Zuri countered. "If we stop now, Marcus will know I betrayed him. He'll go after my family." They argued all the way back to the penthouse, voices rising, fear and frustration boiling over. Inside, Minjun poured himself a drink with shaking hands. "I can't lose you," he said finally, voice raw. "I've lost everyone I cared about. My father, my mother to grief, my best friend. Everyone I love dies or leaves. I can't watch that happen to you." Zuri crossed to him, taking the glass from his hand and setting it down. "Then don't watch. Be with me. Right now. Right here." She kissed him, and this time, there was no hesitation. No pulling back. Minjun responded with desperate hunger, lifting her up, her legs wrapping around his waist as he carried her to his bedroom. "Are you sure?" he breathed against her neck. "I've never been more sure of anything." They made love with an intensity born of danger and denied desire. Minjun was gentle and fierce by turns, worshipping her body like she was sacred, and when they finally lay tangled in his sheets, hearts racing, Zuri felt fundamentally changed. "I love you," Minjun whispered in the dark. "I didn't think I was capable of it anymore, but I love you, Zuri. I love you too." She traced the scar on his shoulder, a bullet wound from years ago. "All of you. Even the dark parts. Especially the dark parts." He smiled slightly. "Especially those." They fell asleep wrapped around each other, and for one perfect night the danger outside didn't matter. The trap was set for a Friday night. The Volkov Bratva, believing they had insider information, was planning to hijack what they thought was Minjun's largest weapons shipment. In reality, it was a setup. The warehouse was empty except for Minjun's people and the Seoul police, who Minjun had finally brought into the fold with evidence of the Bratva's human trafficking operations. Zuri's role was done. She delivered the final piece of intelligence to Dmitri that afternoon, and was safely in Minjun's penthouse with guards outside. Or so she thought. At 11 p.m., the power went out. Zuri's training kicked in. She grabbed the knife Minjun had insisted she keep in the nightstand and moved quietly toward the panic room he'd shown her. She didn't make it. The door burst open and 4 men in tactical gear rushed in. Zuri fought, landed a solid kick that Minjun would have been proud of, even got one in the face with the knife. But they were professionals. A bag went over her head, zip ties secured her wrists, and she was lifted and carried out. When the bag came off, she was in a warehouse tied to a chair. Marcus stood in front of her, but he looked different, harder, colder. More like Minjun than the preppy lawyer she'd known. "Surprise," he said flatly. How did I get past Kang's security, please? We've been planning this for weeks." He circled her chair. "Did you really think I believed your little spy act? I knew from the first call that you were playing me. Kang's too smart to not figure out I'd contacted you." Zuri's blood ran cold. "If you knew, why?" "Because you led us right to him." Marcus smiled. "While you were feeding us fake information, we were tracking every move you made, every location you visited. We found his training facilities, his safe houses, his secondary operations. And tonight, while his people are busy at that warehouse ambush, his real holdings are completely vulnerable. You used me. We used each other. At least I'm honest about it." He pulled out a gun. "Here's what happens next. You're going to call Kang and tell him to stand down. Tell him if he doesn't surrender his sole operations to us, we kill you. Simple. He'll never surrender, and I won't ask him to." Marcus's face twisted with anger, and suddenly she saw the real him, the man who'd always hidden behind charm and manipulation. "You stupid bitch. You die for him? A criminal? A killer? Better a honest killer than a liar who pretends to be good." He backhanded her, hard enough that she tasted blood. "Call him. Now." "No." Marcus raised the gun, pressing it to her temple. "I will kill you." "Then do it. But you won't get what you want." For a moment they stood frozen. Then Marcus lowered the gun, laughing bitterly. "You really love him. God, you actually love that monster. More than I ever loved you. More than you're capable of understanding. Then you can die together." He raised the gun again, and Zuri closed her eyes, thinking of Minjun's smile, his hands on her skin, the way he said her name. The gunshot was deafening, but Zuri felt no pain. She opened her eyes to see Marcus stumbling back, a red bloom spreading across his chest. Behind him, Minjun stood in the doorway, gun raised, face absolutely murderous. "You touched her," Minjun said, voice glacial. "Big mistake." What happened next was brutal and swift. Minjun's people flooded the warehouse, taking out Marcus's guards with professional efficiency. Tae-young cut Zuri free while Minjun advanced on Marcus, who was bleeding but alive, scrabbling backward. "Please," Marcus gasped. "I was just following orders. The Bratva—" "I don't care." Minjun stood over him. "You put your hands on her. You made her bleed." "Minjun!" Zuri's voice cut through his rage. "Don't! Not like this!" He looked at her, face bruised, lip bleeding, but alive and fierce in his. "He hurt you. And you saved me. But if you kill him in cold blood, you're letting his world win. You're better than that." "I'm really not. You are with me. You told me I make you human." She walked to him, ignoring her shaking legs, and took his free hand. "So be human. Let the police have him. We have evidence of everything, his ties to the Bratva, the trafficking, all of it. He'll rot in prison. That's a worse fate than a quick death." Minjun stared at her, then at Marcus. For a long moment, the only sound was Marcus's labored breathing. Then Minjun lowered his gun. "Tae-young, call Detective Park. Tell him we have a gift for him." As his people secured Marcus, Minjun pulled Zuri into his arms, checking her over frantically. "You're hurt. Your face. I'm okay. You came for me. Always. Did you think I wouldn't?" He cupped her bruised face so gently. "I will always come for you, always." She kissed him, blood and all, and felt him shake with relief. The next weeks were a blur of police statements, legal proceedings, and international investigations. Marcus rolled over on the Volkov Bratva to save himself, providing evidence that would dismantle their Asian operations for years. Zuri's brother was moved to a safe location with round-the-clock security until the threats were neutralized. The Bratva, facing massive losses and legal pressure, quietly withdrew their interests from Seoul. Minjun's world for the moment was secure. But everything had changed. "I'm not going anywhere," Zuri told him one night as they stood on his balcony looking over Seoul. "I know what you're thinking, that I should leave, be safe, go back to a normal life." "You could," Minjun said quietly. "I'd make sure you were protected, financially set. I don't want your money. I want you." She turned to face him. "I know what you are, Minjun. I've seen it now, lived it, and I'm choosing this, choosing you. My life will always have danger. Then we face it together." He pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "You're either the bravest woman I've ever met or the craziest." "Definitely both." Over the next months, their relationship deepened. Zuri kept her job at the gallery but started helping Minjun legitimize more of his operations. She had a good eye for legal business opportunities, and slowly they began transitioning his empire toward less violent ventures. It wasn't clean. Minjun still had to handle threats, still operated in moral gray areas, but with Zuri beside him, he was changing, becoming the man he might have been if his father hadn't been murdered. She trained with his people until she could hold her own in a fight, learned the ins and outs of his organization, became not just his partner but his equal. Minjun's people learned to respect her, then fear her a little, then genuinely like her. The woman who'd stood up to their boss, who'd survived the Bratva, who made Mr. Kang actually smile. 1 year after the blind date she'd ruined with a kiss, Zuri returned to that same restaurant in Gangnam. Minjun had asked her to meet him there, claiming he wanted to celebrate their anniversary. She'd laughed. Who celebrated an anniversary of a first kiss? But she'd agreed. The restaurant was empty again, but this time the table was covered in jasmine flowers. Her favorite. "You're romantic when you want to be," she said as Minjun pulled out her chair. "Only for you." He poured wine. "I've been thinking about that night. How you walked up to a complete stranger and kissed him just to escape an uncomfortable situation. Not my finest moment. It was mine." His eyes were soft. "You changed my entire life with that kiss, Zuri. You made me believe I could be more than my father's legacy. More than just the Ice King. You were always more than that. I just helped you see it. You saved me." He stood and Zuri's heart started racing as he pulled a small box from his pocket. "I'm not good with words. I'm better with actions. So let me show you what you mean to me." He opened the box. Inside was a ring, a stunning diamond flanked by sapphires. "Zuri Williams, I am a dangerous man living a dangerous life. I have enemies and secrets and blood on my hands. I can't promise you safety or normalcy or any of the things a good man could offer." He took her hand. "But I can promise you honesty, loyalty, a love so fierce it scares me. I will protect you with everything I have, stand beside you through anything, and love you until my last breath." tears streamed down Zuri's face. "Marry me," Minjun said simply. "Be my partner in every sense. Rule this world with me." "Yes." She didn't even hesitate. "Yes, absolutely yes." He slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her like it was the first time, like it was the last time, like it was everything. When they broke apart, both laughing and crying, Zuri had a realization. "You know what's funny? I kissed you to avoid a relationship, and instead I found the love of my life. Best terrible decision you ever made? Absolutely the best." They married 3 months later in a private ceremony, just close friends and family. Zuri's brother walked her down the aisle while Minjun's people formed an honor guard. Two worlds colliding, somehow making perfect sense. The gallery director gave a confused but heartfelt toast. Maya cried happy tears. Tae-young got drunk and admitted he'd known from day one that Zuri would change everything. On their wedding night in Minjun's penthouse overlooking the city he ruled, Zuri felt perfectly, completely home. "No regrets?" Minjun asked, holding her close. "Only that I didn't kiss you sooner." He laughed, and she felt the sound rumble through his chest. They'd found each other in the most improbable way. A ruined blind date, a desperate kiss, a dangerous attraction that neither could resist. It shouldn't have worked. By all logic, they were wrong for each other. But sometimes the best love stories are the ones that don't make sense to anyone except the two people living them. Sometimes you have to kiss a stranger to find your soulmate. And sometimes the monster everyone fears is really just a man waiting for someone brave enough to see his heart. Did you love Zuri and Minjun's story? Smash that like button, subscribe for more dark Afro-Korean romance, and drop a comment telling me, would you kiss a stranger to escape a bad date? See you in the next story.